Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the middle of October of 2022, and we are just getting closer to Tales of the Jedi, the 6-part series that debuts on the 26th, as well as the Mandalorian Season 3, which by the way is all set and ready to release in February of next year. Still, they're set on track to get it back out on time with no delays, thankfully. This is Mike ZEROH. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between George, John, and Dave is that they are all coming together as a team to really bring Legends back to life. And given that Legends is really becoming a thing and becoming canon under Disney, that's all going to really start in 2023 with the Ahsoka series and Mando Season 3 and eventually Mando 4 in 2024, there's a lot of great things on the horizon by Favreau and Filoni. Now, on to the next big thing. Disney executives are really trying to think outside the box and are really trying to bring Star Wars back to its roots, especially back to the vision of George Lucas, back to, of course, what they originally set out to do, which was, of course, focusing on films and focusing on trilogy formats and spin-off movies, etc. And in case you guys did not know, the real hiatus all was started because of Kathleen Kennedy thinking and or making people believe that it was really a Star Wars frequency issue, where in reality, it was just the fact that people were fed up with what happened with The Last Jedi and really just did not want to see anything with Disney impacting the sequel trilogy at the time. So it was never anything about us getting tired about how many movies were coming out. It was really about how they were being made. Now, with that being said, with John and Dave working heavily on a series of new shows at the same exact time, executives are beginning to work on new projects in the early development phase to kickstart the hype from fans again for the Star Wars universe. Now, behind the scenes, they are planning out a new sequel trilogy for fans that will be created by both Favreau and Filoni that will use all Mandoverse characters, including Luke Skywalker and other characters close to him. Now, the latest and biggest update involves this new trilogy is that Disney executives have decided that they want to turn these new films into an attempt to make many retcons toward the other sequel trilogy films, 7 through 9, and how this new trilogy will be very Skywalker oriented and focused on. Now, the new trilogy is set to focus on two conflicts, one that concerns the Jedi and aspects of the Force, and the other being centered on a story of Mandalore and the Bounty Hunters, where eventually both stories will collide into each other against new foes and new allies. The shows that are being created are said to be a prelude to the new trilogy, which is so, of course, something that was originally planned by John and Dave years ago, that is now finally happening. Now, let me just stop here for a second. We talked about this a couple of times about how originally Disney wanted the Mandoverse era shows to eventually be expanded into movies, and now they're doing that. Now they're making it into a new sequel trilogy in a sense where it's not necessarily going to be labeled as 7 through 9 per se, but they will be post episode 9 movies in the form of an actual trilogy. Now, that really is the best way that you could create a new sequel trilogy, and how it's going to contain a lot of retcons that are going to deeply impact 7 through 9. Now, given that Favreau and Filoni are heavily involved in the discussions with this new trilogy and how Disney executives are getting very excited about all of this, we're going to be learning more about this at the very end of next year on an official level, and it really is going to be quite something. So that's their game plan. Basically, it was never just about endlessly creating Star Wars shows, but using the shows to eventually build up to a brand new trilogy that fans are going to recognize these new characters that are already established. Characters like Grogu, Din Djarin, Ahsoka Tano in live action, the new version of Boba Fett, right? All these different great things. The young version of Luke that is all done through de-aging or deepfake / CG tech. And that brings us to the next scenario here, and how ILM is even getting very much involved in these discussions about this new trilogy and how they are set out to use a revolutionary set of technology that's going to literally transform the film industry. Let's get into it. Now, ILM is set and ready to use their new revolutionary technology to recreate the most realistic version of Luke in these new sequel trilogy movies and more. They are set to use the shows like Ahsoka and Mando to tease a new war coming that will then be fully introduced in the new sequel trilogy films. Bob Chapek is said to be very excited to also have George Lucas on board to become a co-writer for these new movies that they want to begin writing sometime by 2024. Now, Disney is said to have finally realized the strong points of Star Wars and are trying to recreate new trilogies again now for fans. So this is great because before I get to the next segment, I just want to say one thing here is that this is something that fans have been asking for, to have a series of films that would not only have a lot of Legends influence, but also a lot of the fan favorite characters like Ahsoka, Luke, Boba Fett, you name it. I myself could not be more excited. I mean, the fact that, you know, it is moving forward, it is happening behind the scenes, it's in the very early stages, guys, by the way, but we will be learning about this, officially speaking, by the end of next year, right around November or December of 2023, and it's going to be a blast. I mean, I think that, you know, all these shows, Mando, Ahsoka, the Bo-Katan series that's now in the early stages as well, it's all going to work its way up to this new trilogy of movies, essentially. And that really is going to be quite something of an experience, to say the least. I mean, this is something that I believe Disney should have done from the beginning. Just creating a sequel trilogy where the characters could have been de-aged, perhaps, or showing us that side of Star Wars where you have a realistic conflict that's all post-Return of the Jedi. And it would have made more sense in my book. That's just me, though. It could have very well been, you know, an Heir to the Empire trilogy in live action. They could have easily have done that. But, you know, what's done is done, and Disney is now trying to regroup and really rework things and settle things out and make things right for the fans. You know, maybe it's out of desperation. Maybe so. Maybe this is out of complete generosity and just being very genuine toward the fans. Who really knows? But they are putting an effort in now, regardless. Whether it's, you know, self-absorbed, where they just want to make money, or they just want to make a good product for the sake of making a good product, or this is absolutely, you know, being very genuine. It could be either or, really. But the fact that Favreau and Filoni are involved, it sounds more genuine. It sounds more like it's going to be catered toward the fans. They probably see what Marvel was doing for a while, especially with No Way Home being a very big deal. So, overall, you know, I think that there's a lot of great things coming out of this. I think that John and Dave are very thankful for the fans for at least giving them a shot, and 2023 will be an interesting year, to say the least, between what happens with John and Dave and what happens with the new sequels, the planning stages, of course, next year. There's a lot of things going into this. So anyways, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.